life, love, leadership. If you could pick one of those words, something that's on your heart.
With life, it's so precious and it's so delicate.
Love. Without love, you don't have either of the other
two. Leadership, they flow out you.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the L3 Perspective. My name is Glenn Davis. I'm sitting here with, my guy, Cameron Macias.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, he's not really sitting with me, but we're conversing. I wish he was here.
Cam's out in Georgia. I'm out here in California today. Cam's traveling the world right now. But we want to welcome you back to the L3 Perspective. This is a platform where we like to provide value, talking about life, love, leadership. Cam, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm in Warner Robins Air Force Base, somewhere I wasn't sure if I would ever visit in my life. But I thought it was gonna be a little closer to Atlanta. It's not. So
how far away?
It's like hour and 45 minutes. Okay. But we're gonna go there tomorrow. But now I'm, just hanging out in the hotel room because I don't have a rental car.
Got you, man. Good to see you, brother.
Mm-hmm. So before we start, you guys, per the usual, like, love, share, subscribe, give us feedback. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. At the end of the day, we literally do this for you guys. Like me and Glenn, we don't have to record our talks. We have great talks all the time, but we like to do it so that, because we feel that these conversations are valuable to honestly our community. And so let us know what you like and what you don't like so that we can be as good as possible for you guys. But today, what we wanted to talk about was the ROI of the decisions that we're making, right? So I think a lot of times we get stuck in this pattern oh, this was the right decision, but was it really evaluated enough? There's always going to be pros and cons to every decision. And I think too many times all we talk about is either the good that's going to happen and or only the bad that could happen. And or what is the trade-off, right? And so ROI is kind of a mindset, I think, when it comes to people, because some people I feel don't have it and some do. Like myself, I'm all about ROI. What is the return on investment of every decision that I'm making? Even, the reckless ones per se. There's always a certain percentage of something that you may not know how's it going to turn out, but really kind of thinking about what is the trade-off is something I don't think enough people do.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's a very interesting topic that you even bring up, because right before I hopped on here, I got some news, and it was just man, it was kind of one of those things this is where perspective kicks in.
Yeah.
Based off of your life choice, because of the news you just heard, either you go left or you go right, and you don't know which one. You don't know which one is the right path, but you have to believe in the direction that you decide to choose, right? And so,
for sure,
5 minutes into jumping on here, that's where my mindset was, and so to kind of tie it into the return on investment, right? The ROI on the decisions that you make. I think part of that, what comes along with it, is how strong is your belief within the decision that you make, right?
For sure.
Because, again, the return on investment will either be negative or positive. And so, and then on the flip side of that, 3 minutes into us just catching up real quick, got an email of some good news, and it was just the counterbalance of life, right? And so, and I bring that up, going back to the belief piece, right? Yeah. My belief in, certain things that I'm doing, certain projects I'm collaborating with individuals on, it. That belief that I have in that, I feel like that law of attraction was just, it attracted itself. And so, but yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the talk on the ROI.
Yeah, I mean, I think too many times as a society, we get caught up in this shoulda, coulda, woulda game.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I say the whole ROI. And I like your point is did you commit to your decision? Because I feel if you truly commit to a decision, even if it doesn't go well, you don't play the shoulda, coulda, woulda game. You're just okay, I knew this could happen, but I made this decision. Here's where I'm at, and now I need to, like you said, I'm either moving right or moving left, right?
Right.
And we've become such like a judgmental society, like, and I say that because of what happened to me this morning. Like, I was talking to like a client, and they were saying, like, oh, I wish we would have done this, I wish I would have done that. And I was just like, yo, you're here now. Like, at least you had, the at least you reached out. Like, you didn't
Right.
just let the situation get worse. Like, this is such a judgment-free zone. Like, you don't even know. Like, I'm asking you these questions. Like, understand that there is zero judgment on the other end of this line. The fact that you reached out for help, like, that was step one, and then step two is me figuring out how I can help you. So, like,
Yeah.
don't worry about what could have been or should have been. Like, here's where you are, and here's where you can be.
Yeah.
And so. And that was, and we've all played it. I mean, we've all done the, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or something like that. Biggest one I hear all the time is like when people split up.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. Like, like I was married 11 years. My ex and I got a divorce, and like I think people are waiting for me to like have some type of like, oh, it's 11 years of my life wasted, or like,
Yeah.
oh man, I wish I would have never done that. And I'm just like, I don't regret any of it. Like,
So
all of it.
let me ask you a
Yeah.
question with that. Like,
Mhm.
why don't you stay in that mind space? I mean,
Which
as
mind
far as
space?
like just kind of sitting and kind of soaking, and to where, like, for example, like you are like, hey, that's, you can expect that all you want, but you won't get that from me, right?
Yeah.
And so on the flip side of that, society, there's a lot of people in the world who stay stuck in that space, right? They
Yeah.
stay thinking about the negative and the et
Hmm.
cetera. So why don't you stay in that space, or why don't you allow yourself to stay in that space?
Yeah. I think it's just like, I just refuse to let negative things take over my days.
Mhm.
Now that being said, I have like, I don't like, I'm not always just sunshine and rainbows all the time. Like, there are things that bug me, and I get upset about things, although albeit they're like things that most people probably don't get upset about. Like, I get upset about them, but that's why
Mhm.
we're all individuals, right? We don't all get upset about the same things. But the biggest thing is that I honestly, I'm just honest with myself too. Like,
Mhm.
hey, how do you feel? Okay, this is how you feel. Well, why do you feel like this? Okay, well, you feel like this because of this. Okay, well, are you even upset with the person that you, or the the dog, or the washing
Right.
machine, whatever it is? Are you actually really upset with that? You know, um, and then honestly, it's like, and I think I got that from coaching, probably. Like, I just know how to take myself down the rabbit hole to like break down every little individual piece to figure out like what is it that I'm even upset about. um I think the other thing is, I have people in my life who I can lean on. I
Mm.
can't do it all by myself, but I have great people in my circle who, like, I can call them and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Like, I need you to like tell me if I'm being crazy, or
Yeah.
like, is there a piece of this that maybe I'm overlooking, and that's why I'm upset in the first place. Like, I lean on people a lot more, I think, than some people realize. It's just that I also like lean on myself a lot too.
Yeah.
As an
I
only child, I kind of had to. I have to sit in a house on a rainy day by myself.
got you.
So I'm very
Yeah, I don't think
comfortable. I'm
people
very
realize.
comfortable in here.
Well, yeah. I mean, and you had earlier, you said the word mindset, and I don't think people realize how important it is to have good people around you, right?
Yeah.
Because even when it comes to elevating your mindset, you
Hmm.
can you can leverage those conversations, you can leverage those values and the characteristics of the people around you to continue to push yourself to elevate to that next level.
Yeah.
Which again, even when I got the news 5 minutes before the call, it kind of took me to that place,
Yeah.
right? And so my final thought, the mindset that I had was like, gee, whether you want life to stop happening to you or not, is going to keep happening to you, right? And
Oh,
so
facts.
you can have the perspective of, again, you can look at it one way or you can look at it another way. And immediately my thought was like, you just got to go harder,
Yeah,
right? I mean, just in the sense of like not just running just for the sake of running, but like being intentional with the next 5 moves, right?
for sure.
Being intentional with, being vulnerable and transparent with your circle of people. And if this past week, I think that has probably been one of the things that have really been highlighted to me on several platforms that I had the opportunity to kind of speak on or connect with people was
Yeah,
about the vulnerability in your community of men or your community of people that you have around you. How
yeah.
important is that to you, and then how strong is it for you?
hmm No, and it is. I mean, like, it'd be hard to have those conversations, right? Like, like we talked about it earlier in the week, and but like, calling you and talking to you about that, like, it wasn't the easiest thing to do.
Mhm.
But and like I think we talked and like we talked about on the previous episode with Jeremiah is like my emotions have never really been stifled, and so
Right,
I've always been encouraged to like, hey, if you're feeling some type of way, like talk about it.
right.
But talk about it in a like respectful way. Like you can always express yourself. I think that gets twisted sometimes. Is like some
Yeah,
people think that like I should always be able to express myself. 100% agree, but there is a time and a place for certain types of you expressing
those
yourself in certain
conversations. Yeah, yeah,
ways.
for sure.
Yeah, there's certain conversations that are meant for certain ways. There are certain tonalities, volumes, everything. I mean, and that's just, and I think too many times we get wrapped up in this like people trying to be victims of saying like, oh, me expressing myself as being stifled, or I'm not being allowed to do it. And it's like, well, in reality, like, you know read the room, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and I haven't read the room before, and so at 34, about to be 35 years of age, like I've had to learn how to really like express myself, read the room, but at the same time not hold it all in, because that's when you implode.
Yeah, I agree. I
hmm
agree 100%, man. Um, and so, even back to your point on the ROI, what drove that thought?
What's the ROI?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let me ask you, why'd you like it so much?
Why did I like well, number one, because people don't talk about it enough, uh, or at least be honest to think about it. For me, I like how you flipped that on me too, by the way. But because I think that's a true and valid question when you're striving for something, right?
Yeah,
When you're going to try to make decisions, or or life is happening to you, and again, you have to make the decision to go left or go right, right?
yeah.
You have to have that calculated risk,
hmm
and be intentional, be smart about it, right? And so for me, when you mentioned that, I asked myself that question.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, is the ROI important to you? Why is it important? Like all of that. And so I think that when you ask yourself that question, when you're striving for something, it's easy for you to either just give up or keep pushing.
yeah.
I think at that moment you will either just make the decision to stop or quit,
hmm
right? Um, or you'll just keep pushing past that barrier. And so that's kind of where I'm at with that, because I believe that whatever the return on investment is,
hmm
based off of your time, your energy, and the effort that you put into it,
Yeah,
it'll be a win for you, right? Because
yeah.
you won't be that, in most cases, you won't be that same individual that you were
hmm
before you started trying to go after whatever that is, right? Or
Yeah,
before you made that life decision that you had to make because your back was against the wall. So
yeah. And that's like, and that's very much the evolution, right? Of how we make decisions. Like our ROI, our ROI is not the same as it was when we were 21 as it is when we're 35, or 40.
100%.
Respect.
I like how you do that in
but, but it's not right, and and one of the things like we talked about before we hopped on, was like a career ROI. Like, you know, in 2023, people are becoming a lot more aware of, I don't want to just do things for money. I
Yeah.
don't want to just do things because the organization I'm attached to says it's the right thing to do.
Mhm.
You know, and unfortunately, I think there are a lot of organizations that don't really know. I don't want to say don't know what they're doing, but they don't really know like how to get people to buy into the vision of them.
Yeah.
And people are more and more aware of like, do I actually like rock with what we're doing here, or do I want to continue doing this? And, you know, in the military, you know,
Hmm.
where we came from, you're seeing that a lot more. You know, people are like, you know what, I will gladly exit, um, make less on my retirement, but save my mind
Yeah.
and my body and my stress level, right? But that's also not just a singular problem to the military. You know, like as a lot of
Mhm.
people know, I'm on LinkedIn. I do a lot of stuff with recruiters, and I'm
Right.
very involved in that community. And that was a really big thing that got brought to light, is like less and less people are worried about the pay, and they're worried about their stress level after they go home.
Yeah. Which I
You
think
know,
that's even a good thing because, you know, just a lot of people are I feel that a lot more people versus 5, 10 years ago are
yeah,
starting to at least think about or talk about the word mental health, right?
for sure.
And I think that that's that's important, right? You have to be able
Yeah.
to, you know, be aware of that to be able to recalibrate yourself.
Hmm.
Um, you know, but you're right. I think that people that are in leadership positions should be more intentional about how they're leading people.
Yeah.
And because you're right, like the generations that we have now of people in the workforce is
Hmm.
not like, you know, 10, 20, 30 years ago. And I
No.
even remember when I was a youngin and coming into the military,
Yeah.
you know, looking at the OGs like, man, you know, they don't know us. They're not leading us right. And then
Yeah.
same thing now I'm being 41, you know, if you're not aware,
Yeah.
if you're not continuously developing yourself on how to lead people,
Hmm.
you won't understand how to connect with them. You won't understand how to lead them so that they can be um, the best version of themselves, and or to your point, buy into the system or buy into the vision,
Yeah.
and that's all important.
Yeah. Well, I think, and so one of the other things when I think about ROI is, um, the level of, I would say, confidence or humility that people have as well.
Mhm.
And I say that because many people know there's a problem and or know what the solution can be.
Yeah.
However, they choose not to act because they either are embarrassed of of where they're at now, which requires them to need some type of assistance. Which people forget all the time is like, we all need help. Like, we can't all be experts on everything. Like, if you take your car to a mechanic, it's not because you're lazy or because you should be embarrassed that your car broke down and you don't know how to fix it. That's their job, bro. Like,
Yeah.
um, you know, but so many people, I think, get wrapped up in this. If they don't like look at the problem, then they don't have to deal with it. Like, I know there's a problem there, but if I don't like look at it,
Yeah. Like the
like
problem will go away.
the problem. Well, the thing is they know it's not going away. They're just
Mhm.
like, oh, I'll deal with it. What was we? I'll deal with it next week. Oh, if I handle this one thing, I'll deal with it after that. Like, oh, I'll do, this, that, and the third. Um, and unfortunately, it just doesn't work out like that. ninety
Not at
percent of the
all.
time,
Yeah, I
never.
would tell you, I've had that mindset in many seasons, and almost every single time it bit me in the butt. Right?
Yeah,
I remember, especially midway through my military career, even with the when it comes to finances, right? Bill
yeah,
comes in the mail, I'll just kind of slide it off because I'd rather go buy these Jordans. or I'll slide it off, or
Yeah.
I'd rather go do X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in turn, it bit me in the butt. Now, on the
Yeah.
flip side of that, it was a hard lesson learned, but at the same time, you can't just have blinders to
Yeah.
the problems. Like you have to really, uh, you have to really strap up and face the problem, right? And then, like you
Yeah.
mentioned about the people around you,
Yeah.
sometimes you can lean on them,
Mm-hmm.
and for that helping hand.
Yeah. I think it's also like, um, with it being 2023,
Mhm.
we're always looking for like a quick fix.
Yeah.
So if anything takes longer than like an hour, like if this problem can't be fixed in 1 hour, then I'm not doing it. Or I'm not dealing with it. And it's like, you know, the problem with technology, problems can be fixed faster, but problems
Mhm.
can also arise faster.
Yeah.
Um like it's the tit for tat, bro.
Right.
Like yes, we have like yes, we have like Chat GPT and all these other things, or yes, you can check your bank account in an instant, or yes, you can, we have credit cards. Well, guess what? With Chat GPT, now we have to reevaluate the education system,
Right.
because what are we supposed to do? With your bank account information, like the problem is that they can get hacked now, potentially, with things like that.
Hmm.
um and or because you have quick access to it, you think you like you check your account and you're like, yeah, I got money, I'm good. And then
Yeah.
but then you look at credit cards where it's like, oh, this is money that I'll just pay it off, and then it gets out of control. We've all been
Hmm.
there. And so like, I don't think we're doing a good job, like when we're talking about ROIs and we're talking about what are we doing this for, and how long could the potential down steps be to recover from said ROI. Because some things are going to be like, hey, the return is like magnificent, but the potential for this to not be good too is
Yeah.
extremely high as well. And it's like, it's like when you're trading on the stock market, it's like you never put money in the stock market that you wouldn't be okay with walking away from tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Bro, that's you mentioned that, and immediately I thought about a business project that I have my hands involved in, right? And it's
Yeah.
like when I think about the return on investment, the potential of the return on investment is significant,
Yeah.
right? But with life happening, you have to make the decision if you're going to continue with that, the time that it will be required to put into that investment, right?
Yeah.
Or into that project, right?
Hmm.
Because again, yes, the ROI of it is good, or can be
Yeah.
good, but what happens if you stop? Right?
Yeah.
What happens if you just you shift, or you put it on pause in that very season when it's again, you have that deep belief um, in the project that you have your hands involved in, because it affects so many people, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's kind of again, going back to the belief part, it's kind of an easy decision to keep pushing and push harder, right?
Yeah.
In a sense of like, it could be, the easy thing is to just stop,
Yeah.
right? But is the thing that you're doing, or is the project, in my situation, and is that project worth continuing on because of the amount of people that it can impact? And for me
Hmm.
as a leader, um, it's worth the risk, because
Yeah.
I can, because of its attachment to the ROI.
Yeah. Now I want to know what this is. You can tell me. You can tell me offline though.
Man,
I'm like,
well,
tell me.
I'll say this: I enjoy being in business with you and on many platforms. And so everything that I do, majority of the things I do have my hand involved in, they all kind of tie into each other, and it makes sense to do.
Yeah. The
Like,
podcast I won't get anywhere else. I'll show up.
yeah,
I'll slash your tires.
I'm down.
Crazy.
I'm not in the season of giving up, man. I'm in the season of commitment, right? And with even with that, right? You talk about the ROI, it requires a high level of commitment. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And one of the things when it comes to ROI too is hard conversations.
Yeah.
Because I think too many. I say that a lot. I just realized I think too many times.
Nobody
Listen,
caught it until you pointed it
I
out.
know I had to point it out though. I like to laugh at myself. But one of the things, is that the hard conversations that come with ROI, right? Because sometimes the ROI affects somebody else a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and they might think that, like, hey, I should have this happen to me, or I deserve this, or I need you to do this for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to tell that person, I simply can't do that for you, or I'm not going to, simply because the ROI attached to me doing that for you
Mm-hmm.
isn't beneficial for me
Right.
or the
Yeah.
organization.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you lose a lot of people in that process.
Yeah.
And I think that when you are comfortable in who you truly are,
Yeah.
you're striving for said thing. You understand that part of that, and it may just be a seasonal thing. In that
Yeah.
season, the people that you talk to every single day for the last 5 years, it may be in that particular chapter of your life, it may require the communication to be less, right?
Yep.
And then in turn, because they may not understand your vision, they may not understand the direction that you're moving, or even believe in you to a certain degree, you may end up losing them altogether, or just for that season. And it does suck, because people are in your life for a reason. But I think that it's also important for you to recognize, for you to be okay with losing people that don't believe in the direction that you're moving.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, and that's why it's even. I don't want to say that's what makes it even harder of a conversation,
Yeah.
but but that is one of the pieces. Is sometimes it comes down to that conversation, like, hey, me doing this for you doesn't have an ROI that's beneficial for me. And unfortunately, if you don't agree with that, then at the end of the day, maybe you just don't need to be here. I think,
Yeah.
we all get caught up trying to be nice guys and nice girls, and we're all going to get along, and everybody's going to stay at the same place working for forever because it's a great, and it's like, no, like there's going to be an impasse that happens at some point. And
Right.
sometimes that impasse is determination of honestly what could have been a great relationship, and it was just like it's reached its season, like we talk about all the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Or it's one of those where it's an opportunity for an organizational and or a personal evolution, so that the relationship
Mm-hmm.
can continue.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
mean,
just not always possible.
no, that makes sense. It's almost like when you and I first met in Mississippi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Met. I mean, minus the having the hard conversations.
Yeah.
But the point I want to make is that just kind of the evolution, as you mentioned. We
Yeah.
met years ago, didn't talk for years,
Yeah.
or just kind of just through social media. Hey, how you doing? But
Yeah.
reconnected, and in this season, I believe that in both of our lives, we've elevated to a certain degree just in
Yeah.
the last less than a year ago, right?
For
And
sure.
so on many levels, and so again, I think while you may lose people in the process, you may not lose them forever, right? It
Yep.
may just be you guys connecting on a different
Mm-hmm.
platform, or on a different level. So
Yeah. Like a see you
but yeah,
later
at the end
type
of the day,
thing.
those hard conversations, it does suck, especially if you when you're having them in house, right?
Yep.
And in house meaning the people that are closest to you. So
Yeah. So so Glenn, life, love, or leadership?
I love it. I love it. I appreciate the question, man. I like you put that on me. Uh, so I'm going to blend. I'm going to say all three.
Oh, what a
But I
copycat.
will. I'm going to keep it short. I and the reason why I'm going to say all three is because of it made me think of that. Like I said, 5 minutes before the conversation.
Yeah.
And I will say, life will continue to happen to you, whether you want it to or not.
Facts.
And depending on your level of love, which ties into the commitment, it will help you to kind of push through those barriers, right? And if you're a leader of people, or in a position to kind of impact a number of people, whether it's within your house, within your community, within your business organization,
Mm-hmm.
you have to take calculated risks, because at the end of the day, it circles back to life.
Yeah. Oh, you just
So
think
Cam, real quick,
you think you just killed it?
as we prepare to close out on this particular episode, which I'm excited to release, man, life, love, or leadership?
I already answered this question before.
Well, then give a different answer.
I don't want to. So I am also big on the all three answer, and my reasoning is just because, like you talked about, life is happening to you no matter what. The leadership stance that you take in your life, though, I think is directly correlated to the amount of love you have in your life.
Mm.
Because when you're leading, you're doing what? You're making decisions. So depending on the love you have in your life, whether it's the love for a job, love for a significant other, children, whatever have you, that love gives you a certain amount of confidence or power as you're like making leadership decisions for your life.
I love it.
That's
I love it.
my take.
Well, hey, I love it, man. I appreciate you bringing the ROI topic to the table, man. I keep enjoying yourself out there in Georgia. Looking forward to you coming back over to the West Coast.
I don't want to come home.
Cam, go ahead and close this out, brother.
West Side. Hey, y'all, as we wrap it up, like, love, share. Please let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Oh, speaking of which, if for those of you that didn't see, from the last 30 days, the podcast YouTube page has got over 5,000 views.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So we appreciate y'all. And it's been pretty cool, man. Like the evolution as we get better and better and better about getting the message and the information out there. So please, every share counts, every like counts. We appreciate everything you guys are doing. But other than that, we will see you guys next week and see you later. Peace.
Life, love, leadership. If you could pick one of those words, something that's on your heart.
With life, it's so precious and it's so delicate.
Love. Without love, you don't have either of the other two.
Leadership, they flow out you.